Hi all, welcome to my channel, welcome to my world. This is the world of Wade and welcome to a brand new week. Continuing on from the video that I put up at the weekend, we're now going to be doing the next 4 stages of the Fanhome release of build KITT from Knight Rider. Now, in these 4 stages, it's all about the electrics, mainly the electrics, which are going into the dashboard. And as you can see, this is the dashboard that we were working on. So we're going to need this. We're also going to need some parts from stage 4. So if you are following along with this, you're going to need to go to your box of tricks where you're saving things, where I keep them safely, and get them all together. But I'll show you that in these stages today. Now, if you want to get this for yourself, I have put the link down here in the video description. You can get this all the way from pack 1. But without further ado, let's get cracking. So it's all going to start with stage 47, and again each stage does come with its own magazine. So I think we'll start the week just by having a quick slow flick through the magazine. And as you can see, the first thing I'm going to do, and the reason that I've got the car up here on the workstation with me, is because we're going to be taking a lot of the electric wires out. The reason we're doing that is because we're going to start putting them into the dashboard, and we do need these pieces just here again, which we've had from previous stages. So need to get all of those bits together. So at the end of it, it's looking just like that. So I'm just bringing the vehicle over, and I'm just going to remove the masking tape that I put in here just to keep the wires safe and tidy, because I need to take some wires out of this car. Now the first wire I need to take out is labelled D, so I'm looking around this whole spider web of stuff to try and find D. So I have D here, and the way I found D, it's a little switch, is basically to go right back to the circuit board. Just going to unplug this, and as you can see it has got a D just on this end here. Now the D wire, as you can see here, is blue and yellow. I'll just put that to one side and I'll get this stage 47 pack open. And then we're just going to need this tiny little holder here for the switch, which is just going to go this way round into this cavity here. Just like that. We're then going to take over this frame here, and as you can see we've got a hole just in the side. So holding this like this, what I want to do is there's a little plastic tab just on the bottom of this section here. That's going to go into that hole just on this side. So we're going to put it in just like this. So then the switch is going to be sitting on that side just there. We're going to hold it in with an AP screw. So I don't know if you can see that. That's what it should look like before the screw goes in. And I'll put the screw just into that small hole there. And that's going to hold that in place, as you can see. Put that to one side, and now we need to take out lots and lots of cables. So we're taking out cables G, H, I, J, L and O from the circuit board. I'm going to need the dashboard we worked on previously, looking like that I put the grills in at the weekend. Turn it upside down, and we're just going to be taking this panel off just here. I think we installed this in stage 4, but we're now taking it off. I will keep the screws safe for this. Just like that. Now I'll do this quite slowly so we can work through this together. But on this side here, hopefully you can see, we've got 2 holes just here. Now we've got 2 LED lights on cable H. They're going to go into those holes. Now you do want to make sure they go all the way into those holes. I always find just putting a little bit of oil just around the inside there will help you slip them in all the way, so there's no danger of them falling out. That's 1. And that one's 2. And they should fit flush all the way in there like that. So that's cable H. I need another cable, which as you can see here is cable G, which has a single LED on the top. That's just going to go into the hole that we can just see at the top, just there. So again, I'm going to push that LED all the way in like that. Next cable we need is cable O. Now, again, we've got 2 LEDs here. One of the LEDs is going behind the voice box. So there's the voice box there. So that's going to go into this cable just there. I'm just supporting that so I can put it all the way through. So once we've got that one in the voice box, the other one is just going into the hole just behind the voice box here. So push that in. And again, get that in all the way like that. So basically cable, let me see what this is. Cable O is looking just like that. I'm just tidying those wires up there. We then need cable L, which looks like this, which is a green and yellow cable. This has got 2 LEDs on, and they're just going into this center plate here. There's 2 holes in that. Probably going to need some tweezers to help get them in. So I've lined that up. Get me tweezers here and pull that. So that's one. And there is one just around on the other side here. And I am going to feed that wire through here so it's not on that ledge. But that's those 2 wires in there. So that's how it's looking at the moment with those in. Let's put that to one side because the section that we just took off earlier, looking like this, the lower dashboard housing, we've got 3 LEDs on cable J here. We're actually going to be putting 2 of those LEDs into the back of this section here. So get these in. When you put them in, it will help. Let me just get the other one in here. To have these quite flat on here so they can't pull themselves out. Now in the magazine it wants us to actually put some adhesive tape over them to keep them in place so they don't move. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use a little bit of resin, just a resin block on each side here, and that will stop them coming back out. So a bit of Bondic here. Put that in a blob, making a sort of like bridge going over this, as you can see. Excellent. Then I'll get my UV light on it and make sure that sets hard. And as you can see, they're now locked in place, no problems at all. Now we're about to put this back into this section here. So I'm just lining that up where it's going to go. And once again, I'll put the screws in to put this down. These are the screws that I actually took out. So one here. And just one on the other side here. Now, the spare lead that I've got coming from this is actually just going to go into the hole, just into this end box here. So I am just going to wrap this around to get this in. And as you can see, that's in just at that end box just there. So, awful lot of wires coming out from that dashboard now. I can put that just to one side for a second and bring over this section that we worked on. Again, I think this was in stage 4, and they just wanted me to take out the plate that we put in the back here. So 1, 2, and get that out. And all we need is cable I, looking like that, which has got 2 LEDs, which are sort of like SMDs actually, looking like that. I'm going to split these up here because they're going to go into each side here. So one in this side and one in the other side, but we want to make sure that when we put them in, we're making sure that the wires are going around the screw hole there. We don't want to put a screw through these little plates there, otherwise you're going to break the wire. So when that's in, that should look like that. I'm just going to be putting this section back on over the top again and then sealing this together, remembering that we don't want to crush any of those wires. So I've got the GP screws here that I actually took out, which are just going through the middle here. And again, I'm letting not putting it in too tight, but I'm pretty safe in the knowledge that I haven't pinched any wires here. Just like that. And then the 2 at the end here are going to have AP screws. And here's the last screw going in here now. As you can see, we now have lights behind this section here with a cable coming out. So then I want to bend this wire back here, just like that. So it's going over the top of this, just for a second. Bring up the dashboard, and as you can see, we've got 2 holes just in the bottom there. Want to put them this way round, so we line up these 2 holes, and they're going to be held in with GP screws. So that's 1 in there. Here's the second one. And then make that nice and tight. Perfect. And then this cable again will eventually come out the back just like that. And that is all there is to do in that stage. Now you probably noticed that I took my time on that stage just because I didn't want to pinch any wires. We know all the electrics are working, and the last thing you want to do now is skimp off putting screws in through wires and then they don't work, and then we wonder why at the end of the build. But at the moment, that is what that's looking like. So that brings us on to stage 48 here. And again, this time I'm just going to go straight to the instructions. We're going to be working some more on the dashboard. Lots of details going in to actually keep these wires into some sort of order. So by the end of it, it's looking just like that. We've got the steering wheel on the car as well. So all the parts for stage 48 are here. Let's get this open. We're then going to be putting this fascia panel on. As you can see, we've got 4 little holes here. They're going to go into one down here, 2, 3 and 4. So I'll get this on. I have sort of brought the wires around so that they're all coming into one area. So there you go. That's going to fit in like that. It's going to be held in with BP screws. So it's 5 screws in total, and they all look like that when they're in. None of the wires are pinched. They're all going through the outlets you can see at the bottom there. The next thing we'll do is take this control console. That's just going to fit over the 2 tabs on that side, and it's going to be held in with a BP screw just through the back. BP screw, definitely the screw of choice for this build. There you go. That's secured. Now where this LED is, I'm just pushing this wire around just a touch because there's a screw there I need to expose, because we're going to be removing that screw now. Just like that. And I've got this panel here to go in place. So just line this up with everything. Just training these wires. And we want that to fit flush in there, and then just replace the GP screw. And if you've done it right, it actually hides all the wires on that side of the car, as you can see. So just turning it over. That's what it's looking like from the front at the moment. I'm going to retrieve the steering wheel and the steering rod that we had from the last, this was stage 4. And I'm just going to put that through the hole in the centre here. Once again, I'm just going to make sure that I'm not pinching any of the wires. So this is going to come out the other side there. And I'm going to be putting the steering column here just onto the shaft, just like this here. Now we have got a steering control lever to go in, which is going to be going into this point just here. And it's sort of going to be facing in the direction of the front of the dashboard. And then to hold that in place, we're going to be putting the top of the steering column mount on, very fiddly, to hold all of this together. Don't matter about where it's located at the moment, because this will slide up and down the shaft here, as you can see. But I am just going to hold this whole thing here together with a BP screw. Excellent. So now that's as one piece there. Just put that to one side just for a second. And we've got the dashboard rear here. And we've got another detail that's just going to go into that. It's going to go into this section just here. Now, if I just put this in the way it goes, and I'll show you that it has got some detail on it. So it's going to go in like that. And as you can see, you've got a little bit of detail just at the bottom there. And we're going to hold that once again with a BP screw. Then bring over what we've just been working on. And we're going to be attaching the steering column here into the 2 holes that we've got just there. So it's going to go in kind of like that there. Once again, held in with 2 BP screws. So we just want to bring all of these parts together now. So that the back of this panel here lines up with the back of the steering wheel. And we want to slide that quite tight up to there. So it's actually going to go at an angle kind of like this. And there is some lugs for this to fit on at the other side here. We're going to be putting some screws into these holes here, and they are BP screws. Before you do that, make sure that the collar here is actually into the collar here. You'll feel it click all the way in, just like that. That will enable you to line this section up just here. We're then going to be putting 3 BP screws just to keep that into place. Very tricky this one is, but if you persevere, you will get it. This is the second one. Very tricky to get that in, I have to say. It's taken me a little while. That's why there was a few cuts there. But I'll get the last one in. Make sure it's nice and tight. And there we go. That's in all the way. And as you can see, this is still able to move because that's actually going to go to the steering linkage eventually. But that is that full section in. Just make sure that the collars are definitely inside these bits here and here, just so you can get that enough force to actually get it into the holes that you can see underneath there. But that's all in place, and that's all there is to do in that stage. This certainly is a fiddly pack, this one, isn't it? Okay, so we're on stage 49, and no idea what we're doing. We've got a couple of details here that we're going to start to put in. Oh, as a matter of fact, it looks like we're going to be down to mount some interior panels on here. So we're going to have all of this labelled out just like that. So at the end of it, again on the dashboard, it's going to look just like that. So here's stage 49 here. Let's just get these bits out. This looks a little bit easier than what we have been doing, I have to say. And the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to be aligning these 3 holes here onto the passenger panel just like that there. Once again, they're held in with BP screws. Using a lot of them lately. So when they're in, they look just like that. I want to bring over the dashboard. And this is going to be going just on top of these 2 holes here. We're just going to match these up just like that. So that now they're sitting in place, and we're going to put them in with CP screws. I've only put them in loosely at the moment. I want to just make sure these are lined up correctly. So when that's in, that should look just like that. And then, rather than bring the car over, I have unplugged cable F from the board here. So we take that cable, we want to put, if we're holding it this way, the red and white ones in this side, red and black in this side, and the green and yellow in that side there. Now we're going to be doing a little bit of wire tidy here, because we want all these cables here to be pinned into these channels that you can probably just see on the top camera there. Using these clips, they're going to go round this way onto here like that, and then they're secured in with an AP screw. Now they have provided us a bit of tape here that we can actually lie these down further, so they are all coming up from the top just there. So they're all coming out the top, and I do have 2 coming out the side there. We're going to be mounting this whole section now onto the underside of the dashboard. And with the steering shaft there is going to be going underneath this section there. I'm going to mount this into place on the engine, making sure that all the wires are still coming out the bottom. Very tricky, this one. Don't want to pinch any wires into the mounting holes. We are mounting that center hole there, is going to go onto that little lug. I don't know if you can see just there. Now that center hole is just going to be put in with a BP screw, which I've got here. That's just held that into place just for a minute there. Again, put that over one side, because we do have these sides to put in here. And then I've got these lenses to put into place on these sides. They're just going to go in like that. And then once again, they're held in with BP screws. So I'm going to do that on both of these sides here. I want to take the left one, they are labelled left and right, bring over what we've just worked on here, turning that round. So what we're going to do is when we mount this, I'm just going to take one of the LEDs from the left side here, put that through that side. Now before I mount this on, I'm going to take a BP screw and I'm going to put this side of the back that we had on here, I'm going to screw that into place with a BP screw here on this side. So they're both together then, like that. So that's nice and secure. Then with a CP screw, I'm going to put this side on. And it's going to go on this way here. Just like this. And get a CP screw just through this hole. So when that's on, it should look just like that. And I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. So as you can see, when that's on, it looks like that from both sides. Now I have tidied some of these wires up just by putting a bit of insulating tape around here. Now I am guessing this is going to run down the trunk of the car. So rather than bundle the wires up, I actually lied them flat and then put some insulating tape, as you can see here. So they actually going to sit quite flat as they go through the car. But that is all there is to do in that stage. So that means the last stage we're doing here, actually they've let us off with a nice easy section. We're just going to do the central transmission tunnel here. So we're putting some quite bulky parts together. So at the end it's going to look just like that. And the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to be taking this section here and putting this top section in. So from the other side it's looking like that. Now I need to make sure this is round the right way. So if you can see, you've got sort of like an injection moulding hole in there. It wants to be that way round. Now that's going to be held in with an AP screw. I do actually have one already here from the last stage. So just one on that side and one on this side. Excellent. So there you go. That looks like that. Bring over the centre housing and we have got this little tiny detail here, which is just going to go on the end like that there. Once again, held in with an AP screw. And then we have got, obviously, the part that we just made, but we're not actually doing anything with these. We're just going to keep these together just like that. So with what we've created there, and this massive section here, which has taken a good 2 hours to actually get absolutely perfect, that's all there is to do in that stage. That's all there is to do in that pack. Yeah, I'm not kidding with you. That really took over 2 hours, but I really do want to make sure I've taken the time with those electrics. So I know everything's in where it needs to be. I know I haven't pinched any wires. We knew beforehand that it works. So it's just a case of plugging them back in. Now, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wait till the instructions tell me because you know me. I like to get teased, and you like my natural reaction when I see these working for the first time. But I really do hope you like that video. I do hope that's helped you if you are building along, because that is quite a tough stage, that one. If you did like that, please remember to give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed already, please remember to subscribe. Other than that, take care.